Oh God, we're back. Hello everyone. It's Adrian, and you're welcome. Welcome back to the channel where I talk about my unfiltered thoughts and opinions that nobody asked for. If that sounds like something that you're into, like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get straight into today's episode. I don't know why I'm smiling right now because I'm about to talk about a really serious topic, but I guess I'm just happy to see you. So I guess we're gonna do that. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into today's episode. Now, are religious people the most hypocritical, vile, and pretentious people you will ever meet? Yes? No? I don't know. Let's talk about it. That's why I'm here. I'm here so that we can talk about that. Like, you know me, I wanted to hit things up a little bit today. Yeah, I woke up today and chose violence, and I do not care. I'm gonna speak my mind. I really do not. So buckle up and let's get straight into it. If we look at like all parts of the world, okay, like all these different continents and all these countries, okay, every single place, every single country, every single continent, there is people who do not like religious people. Okay, there is somebody out there in every single continent and country that does not like a religious person. It's just this thing where people just generally do not like religious people. You know, the people who are not religious, like agnostic, or people who are agnostic or like atheist, or people they just do not like religious people. It's just this thing where these people think that religious people are just evil. They're not good people. They do not practice what they preach. They're pretentious again and hypocritical. They're just not good people in general, you know? And it's the fact that religion is the only thing that's keeping them accountable. Outside of that, they're not really good people. And I know you might be watching this and you're like, well, I'm religious and I'm a good person. I'm not pretentious or hypocritical. I always try to, what's the word? I always try to practice what I preach, and I'm a good person. I make sure that my neighbor is well taken care of, and I respect them and respect their beliefs and blah blah blah. Well, Jeremy, this isn't about you, okay? This is not about you. Notice how I will keep saying most religious people are not good people, or they're not who they say they are, and not all of them. So if you're there and thinking that, oh my God, this is not me, I'm not like that, then it means we're not all like that, then I'm not talking about you, okay? This is not about you. I said most religious people, not all of them, okay? Because if I were to say most of that, like all of them, then I would be including myself, because I grew up really religious and spiritual and did the whole practicing thing, and to like to the max, to the T, to perfection. Well, not really to perfection, because nobody is perfect. Nobody, not even myself. There are times where you do things that I guess your religion didn't allow, but you get my point, okay? You get my point and where I'm trying to get at. But yes, if you're not like that, then this is not about you. It's about the other people, most people who are religious and are not good. And I also wanted to share my own experience as somebody who grew up religious myself and spiritual and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm also going to share the stories of people that I've talked to about this same topic and their experiences in dealing with religious people. Okay, so for me, again, I grew up really religious and spiritual, doing the whole thing, and I grew up also around a lot of really religious people. But the thing was, I've always been the kind of person who was like friends with almost everyone. You know what I mean? I've always had a really diverse group of friends, you know, and I had friends who like shared the same religion as me, or friends who were from like completely different backgrounds and religion. And that was good. That was good. And something that I always realized was that the people who were more religious were the most hypocritical, pretentious, and evil people. I'm not trying to like sugarcoat anything or trying to come for anyone, but this is just the truth and me talking about my own personal experience with religious people, growing up a religious person myself, okay? it got so bad when I was younger that I was like, that I got so, like, I remember I used to get so conflicted, and I would just sit with myself and ask myself all these questions. I'm like, dude, I have all these friends, or all these people that I knew, my neighbors and friends and people that I went to school and all that kind of stuff, who were not the most religious people. Some of them were atheists, and others just were not the most religious. They just didn't believe in it for some reason. And I also had a group of friends who were like so religious. I'm talking about people who prayed, going to church, going to like church, or going to the masjid, to the mosque, to pray and all these things. I'm talking about Muslims, Christians, Catholics, and all of these other religions who really were like practicing their religion. And if you were to see them like face to face, you just be like, they're just like the best people. They're like the most religious people. But also, those were the dangerous people. Those were like the really not good people. Those were the people who were like judging you, then going behind people's backs and doing the worst thing. And I'm gonna be speaking from my own experience. The kindest people that I've ever met, the people who have been the nicest to me and the kindest to me, they were not religious people. I'm gonna tell you that. They were not. The people who were always like really judgmental and just like mean and evil and always doing the worst things behind closed doors were religious people. They were religious people. And I used to talk to, and I used to talk about this with my other friends who were not so religious, and they were like, yeah, that's it, that is why I don't like religious people, is because they're just so pretentious. They say this, then they do the opposite. They come out here and judge people for the way that they live their life, the way they dress and who they marry and blah 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 and all these things, while they're doing like the worst things behind closed. Like, I'm talking about the worst. And again, I oh my god, I used to talk to my other friends who were not so religious. They were like, yeah, that's it. I mean, I feel like there is real reasons to why people just generally do not like religious people, and I'm here for that. I'm here for that. And I got all of them. And I think one of the biggest reasons to why I think a lot of people just do not like religious people in general is because they always try to force their beliefs onto other people, even though their religion does not encourage that. It does not encourage them shoving their beliefs, down the throat of the people who do not believe the same thing that they do. They still do it anyway, because let's face it, if you're a religious person, ask yourself, how does it feel to be this person who believes in this thing? I don't know, maybe you are a Christian and you believe in hell and heaven and all these things, and somebody else comes out that does not believe in the same thing as you, and they're just trying to like shove down these beliefs, down your throat that you do not believe in. Imagine yourself how that would feel. That is the exact same thing that you guys do to other people who do not believe in the same thing that you do, and I'm mostly gonna be focusing on Christians here. Christians believe in the whole heaven and hell and all these things. And the best analogy that people always bring is like, oh, imagine, I mean, somebody actually told me this in real life, and somebody was like, oh, imagine if you knew that there was fire in a room and your friend wanted to go to that room so bad, but you know that there is fire, so you're trying to do every single thing to prevent them from going to that room, because you know that they're going to burn. And that is the analogy that they always used to bring, like, I know at the end of this there is heaven and there is hell, and I'm trying to force my beliefs onto other people because I know that there is a heaven and hell, and I'm trying to save them. And I'm like, but you don't know for real that there is actually that. You know what I mean? It's like, you believe that because that's what you choose to believe. That I might believe that because that's what I choose to believe, but that does not necessarily mean there's like hard proof of that existing. You haven't seen that. Have you gone to heaven? No, you have not. Have you seen the hell? No, you have not. The only thing that you've done is read about it in a book that you did not write, and you just choose to believe in that. And I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily with you choosing to believe that. It's okay, you can believe in whatever you want. I can believe in whatever I want. But it's just you trying to force these beliefs that, again, you don't really have proof of. It's just a belief, whether you believe in it or I believe in it. At the end of the day, it's just a belief. You trying to force these beliefs onto other people that do not believe the same way. It's the same people that act crazy and weird when other people try to force their beliefs onto them. Imagine, let's say, a Buddhist, or I don't know, Jewish person, or a Catholic, or a Muslim even, trying to force their belief onto a Christian person. It never ends well. It never ends well, or vice versa. You know what I mean? It does not feel good at all. It does not feel good to be harassed by somebody trying to like force you to believe in the same thing that they believe in. And I get it. That's what you believe in, and you're trying to like save other people, but after you have communicated your beliefs and what you think the other person should believe in, and they don't believe in that, I think it's time for you to let people be, and let people be whoever they are and believe in whatever they want to believe in, and you to stop trying to shove these beliefs onto other people, the people that do not believe in the same thing that you do, or the same thing that you want them to believe in. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there is somewhere in your book, your holy book, that you believe in, whether that's like the Bible, or I don't know, the Torah, or like the Quran. I don't know, whatever you believe in. Like, I'm sure there is somewhere that talks about the fact that you should not be forcing your beliefs on other people that do not believe in the same thing that you believe in. I don't know. I don't know about all the books, but I'm sure there is somewhere there. I just know for a fact that in the Quran there is somewhere that says that you should not force your beliefs onto other people that do not believe in the same thing that you do. You can believe in whatever you believe in, and you can let them believe in whatever they believe in. I mean, I don't know in the Bible, because I would have to do all of that research, but I'm sure from my own little bit of research, I've learned that in the Quran there is somewhere, I think it is what I think it's Surah Al-Kafirun. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. I tried to perfect this. But it is somewhere there in the Quran that mentions that you should not be forcing your beliefs onto other people. Let them believe on whatever they want to believe in, and you can continue believing in whatever you want to believe in. But I guess you do not get that part, and you just cannot seem to force your beliefs onto other people. And nobody likes to be harassed, nobody. And I'm sure it would not feel good if somebody else from a different religion were to come out here and force their belief onto you when you don't want to, when you don't want to. And it's just, we don't want that. We don't want that. If you believe in whatever you want to believe in, that's okay. Keep it to yourself. You don't have to harass other people who do not believe in the same thing. I also think that another reason to why a lot of people do not like religious people, the whole saying that they say that there's no hate like Christian love. I mean, to the point where to the point where sayings like that have come out, you have to understand that it's bad. Yeah, it's something that happens a lot. But another reason to why a lot of people do not like religious people is because they never, like most of religious people, never practice what they preach. They say do this, do that, love thy neighbor, do this, do that. But then the moment somebody does not believe in the same thing that you do, you become a hater. You become an evil person. You're trying to make their life miserable, harassing them, trying to force them to believe in the same thing that you believe in. And I also feel like there's also research that was done by the University of Berkeley. No, it's Berkeley University, the University of California, that suggested that people who are more religious, highly religious people, tend to be less compassionate towards other people compared to people who are less religious. You know what I mean? And I found that interesting because I was like, I've always thought about this because, again, from my own experience, that's what has been that the people who have been the most compassionate and empathetic were not the religious people, or they were the people who were agnostic and atheist, and people who were maybe religious but not like that religious. And it was interesting to find that there is something that out there, some research done by, Berkeley University, the University of California, suggesting that people who are highly religious are not the most empathetic or compassionate compared to people who are less religious. You know what I mean? And I just found that interesting. If you want to check that out, you definitely should check that out. But it also reminded me of the fact that a lot of religious people are only religious because they are afraid. Okay, they're not religious because they believe in it and they feel it. No, they're religious because they are afraid of going to hell. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but if you're only religious because you are afraid, sorry, because you are afraid of hell, and you're only a good person because you're afraid of going to hell, I'm sorry to break it to you, buddy, but you are not a good person. No, you're not. If you need religion to be a good person and to do good, you're not a good person. You're not. And if that hell truly exists, you're gonna go to hell anyway. You're gonna go to hell anyway, and nothing is gonna stop that because you're only being a good person because you're afraid. And if it wasn't for religion, and we're like, thank God there is religion and you get to be good. And if it wasn't for that, it would have been a totally different story, because it's like you are not a good person already. Like if you really like need, that is your only reason to why you are a good person and you do good and you try to be compassionate and empathetic towards other people and do good, is because you're afraid of going to hell. Again, it just proves that you're not a good person. And whether you do good or not, or try to be good, you're gonna go to hell anyway. You know what I mean? And I think that also explains why people have a lot of like bad experiences with like religious people, is because a lot of them are not good people. They're not good people. And the little bit of good, all that shame that they have, and they try not to do bad things or treat people horribly, comes from that fear, I guess. It comes from that fear of, oh, I don't want to do this because the day of judgment, and do that. So they still do it, but they do it behind closed doors, because they don't want anybody to judge them. Which brings me to my third reason to why a lot of people hate religious people, is they're the most judgmental yet hypocritical people you will ever meet. Oh my God, no. Literally, they will be like judging every single person again. And I also think that's like a sin, isn't it? To like judge another person, because that is not our business to judge anybody. That is God's business to judge people. For us is to just advise them, and like advise them to go on a better path and to be a better person, but not to judge them for who they are or for their actions, because we do some pretty messed up things too. Okay, that is not our job. That is none of our business. But I'm telling you right now, religious people are the most judgmental people you ever meet. The most hypocritical. The most judgmental people, yet the most hypocritical. You know what I mean? And that is like a known fact. It's not a this and that. And you might be wondering, like, Adrian, people are judgmental and hypocritical in general. I don't think that has anything to do with religion or anything. I'm telling you right now, from my experience, the people who were religious, again, keyword, my experience, the people who were religious were more judgmental and hypocritical. They judge you for doing one thing and then go behind closed doors and do worse compared to the ones who were not. Because the ones who are not, they're like, again, here's who I am. You either like me or you don't. Here's what you get. You can either like me for who I am or not. I do not care. This is who I am. Yet, the religious people, on the other hand, they come out here, judge other people for the way that they're living and their life choices, and go behind closed doors and do worse. You know what I mean? And God, another thing with religious people is, going back to the whole fear thing, is this fear of like hell and never like never like questioning anything. First of all, why do you believe in something that you cannot even question? I feel like for you to be secure in your faith, you need to question things. If you're following a path or like a religion just for the sake of doing it, and you're not questioning why these things are a certain when you're just like blindly following. I don't think you should be doing that. And if you're doing that, and I'm not here to like judge you or judge anyone, but you are dumb. I'm sorry to say it, but you are. If you never question anything, with that fear in mind of like, oh, maybe if you question, then it means that you don't trust, or if you question, then it might make you to start it might make you question everything and stop believing in what you already believe in. So that comfort will basically just disappear, because there's this comfort in believing something and not wanting to question it in a way. But if that's you, you're dumb. You should be questioning everything. That is what you should be doing, and I don't think any religion discourages that, to question things, because you should be questioning and looking for answers, even exploring different faiths and learning more about every single thing and every single religion. That's why I can tell you a few facts here and there about different religion that I have personally learned, because I do not care. When I was younger, again, I used to have a really diverse friend group, and my friends used to always be like really curious. We all had different beliefs, but they're like the smartest people ever, because we never used to approach each other's beliefs from this place of judgment. No, it was always curiosity and wanting to learn something new. Learn something new about each other's beliefs and why we believed in the things that we believed in. And I think that's something that I'm really like grateful for. Like now looking back, I'm like really, really grateful for, because again, I used to be the kind of kid who was like friends with like every single, like everybody, literally everybody on the block, like everyone. I always used to have a really diverse group of friends, from different backgrounds, different religious beliefs and all of that. So it was always interesting whenever they were like curious about my beliefs and what I thought, to be true, and what I believed in. And they would ask me about this. Well, why is this like this? Why do you believe like this? And how is this like this and like that? And I always used to find those conversation really like interesting and mentally stimulating and all of that. And I used to do the same. I would ask them question about their beliefs and what they believed in and what they thought, and they would give me their books. I would give them my books, and we would get to learn all these different things about each other. And I always thought that was like really interesting, and that's how I got to learn so much about all these different stuff. And I think that you should be able to do that. You should have a diverse good group of friends, sorry, and you shouldn't like cage yourself to be like, oh, I'm only gonna believe in this, or only believe in that, or only do that. You should be able to like explore different things and find the truth for yourself. And I honestly think it's a healthy thing to do. Question everything, and give yourself this permission to be able to like go on different routes and paths, and be able to question things and find, I guess, the truth for yourself and what you want for yourself. And you might be watching this and feeling like I'm just trying to like hate on religious people, because I can't even hate, because if I were to be hating on religious people, I would also be hating on myself as well, because again, I grew up really religious and just spiritual and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, I'm not trying to say this or do this whole thing to like make fun of anybody or like come for anyone, because again, I would be coming for myself. But I'm just saying that there is nothing wrong with being religious. There's nothing wrong with being a religious and spiritual person. It's totally fine. It's okay to be that, but it's just not okay for you to harass other people and try to force your beliefs onto them. It's just not fine for you to be out there judging people for the way that they live and the way, and their life choices and all these things that they do, then go behind closed doors and even do worse. It's really also hypocritical for you to preach about how your religion and your beliefs teach you to love to teach you to, sorry, love your neighbors, but then not really love them and accept them. Instead, just hate on them and just harass them just because they do not believe in the same thing that you do. And you ask yourself, I wonder why people don't like religious people. I wonder why more people can convert. They can't, because they can see through the BS of you. You know, you trying to preach about being this good person, but then you not being the good person that you're preaching about. You know, it's like, why would I follow the same path that you're preaching so hard about being a better person and being a good person and loving your neighbors, but also you don't even practice that. You don't put that into practice. You're not a good person. You don't love your neighbors. You don't respect them because they do not believe in the same thing that you do. It's just like, it does not make sense. Again, there is nothing wrong with you believing in whatever you believe in. It's okay to believe in whatever you want to believe in and have your own beliefs and be a religious and spiritual person. Just don't force that on other people and leave them alone. Okay, leave them alone. Coming to another question, you might be wondering, well, Adrian, you've been talking a lot. Let's talk about you. Are you religious? Are you a spiritual person? Yes, you've talked about the fact that you grew up really religious and a spiritual person. Are you? Yes, I am a spiritual person. I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not, you know, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect and maybe do not judge people, but I can tell you that I keep that to myself. I don't go out there harassing people to believe in the same thing that I do or anything like that. And also, I'm still figuring things out, and I think that when it comes to religion and just spirituality in general, you know, that spiritual journeys are something that are very personal. You know, that's not what you believe in, your religious beliefs and your spiritual beliefs. That is something that should be personal. That's something that should be private. It's between you and God and the creator and whatever you believe in, you know, that higher power. It's private. It's only between you and God, and that's it. That it's no one else's business. It's no one else's right to have a say on what you believe in or what you do not believe in, how you choose to move in life. It's none of their business. The same way that what you believe in is none of my business, and what I believe in is none of you guys' business. You know what I mean? And I'm still on this journey, you know, trying to figure things out myself, you know, learn more things and read more books and, you know, do more research and trying to figure out where I stand on that, you know. So I think that's a very personal journey, and we shouldn't be out here judging other people for the way that they live their life and what they choose to believe in, because at the end of the day, that is none of our businesses. That's none of your business, and it's none of my business to be sitting here and judging other people, you know, judging other people's life choices and what they choose to do and all of that. Obviously, as long as they're not hurting other people, then I guess we're good. And yeah, it's personal. It's a really personal thing, and I don't think I'm ever gonna talk about it again, because again, I'm not gonna talk about my spiritual beliefs, because that's my business. That's up to me. Whatever I believe in, it's no one else's business. Not my family, not my friends, not my significant other, girlfriend or whatever. No, that's my business. That's my own journey to embark on, and my own stuff to figure out, the same way that your beliefs is your own stuff to figure out, and it shouldn't be anyone's business. So anytime you start to think what will other people think, it has nothing to do with other people and everything to do with you. And to finally answer your question, are religious people the most vile people you will ever meet? I mean, they're pretty vile. Yeah, yeah, kind of. Not fully, again, because I'm not trying to. I'm not gonna put every single religious person under the same umbrella, but a lot of religious people are not. They're just not good people. They're just not, and that is what it is, and that's what has been a lot of people's experience with that, but obviously not all of them, you know. Don't come here and be like, well, I'm not like that. Well, I'm not talking about you. You know what I mean? So, because otherwise I would also be coming for myself. I just feel like we should all be holding ourselves accountable. It's okay for us to have beliefs, but we should also allow other people to have their own beliefs and believe in whatever they want to believe and live their life the way that they want to live it, as long as they're not hurting anybody, you know. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. That's all my thoughts. That's what I wanted to share. And I don't know, let me know about what you guys' opinions are, what you guys think, what your experiences has been with religious people. I've had both positive and negative experiences, so let me know about what you guys think. And again, as always, I love you. Take care of yourself. Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong somewhere, because I like to learn. I don't know everything. I don't. So educate me, please. Down in the comments, let me know. But yeah, that's all I have to say for today's video. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. And I love you. Take care of yourself. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye. I love you. Bye. I'll see you on the next one. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop the video because I'm just gonna keep yapping non-stop. Bye bye.